12 Steps, Part 4 of 4, the 12th step. The video lasted 43 seconds. In that time, Mara watched Daniel Ashworth sit across the table from someone she recognized, someone she had trusted, someone who had handed her the Ashworth case 11 days ago and told her to find the truth. The person on the screen was Quinn, her partner, 6 years, the man asleep in the next room. She pulled out the USB drive, closed her laptop, sat in the dark for a long time, listening to the sound of her own breathing. Then, she did what she always did. She thought about the steps, 12 steps to the basement. A body at the bottom, but the body had been moved, placed at step 12, when the man had died at step 8. Why 12? She'd been asking the wrong question. Not why 12 steps? Why the 12th step specifically? She opened her notebook and wrote it down. 12 names on the original Geneva operation, 47 names on Ashworth's list, 1 name added later, in different ink, in a hurry. Her captain's name. But Captain Reeves hadn't been afraid when she mentioned Geneva. He had been relieved, like a man who had been waiting for something to finally arrive. She wrote one more line in her notebook. What if the trap wasn't for her? She didn't wake Quinn. Instead, she slipped out of the hotel room at 3 a.m. and drove back to the Harlow Hotel, alone. The basement door had been repaired since the night of the murder. A new lock, clean wood, as if nothing had happened. She picked the lock in 40 seconds, an old skill she rarely needed anymore, and descended the stairs. 1, 2, 3. She counted every step. At the bottom, she stood in the dark and thought about Daniel Ashworth, a man who had walked into this hotel knowing he might not walk out, who had left a trail of breadcrumbs. The keycard, the laptop, the sticky note, the list for a detective he had never met. Why her? Why specifically her? Her phone lit up. A message from Robert Vane. Check the 8th step. She turned around and climbed back up, slowly counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She crouched down and ran her fingers along the edge of the step. The wood was slightly different here. Newer, smoother, recently replaced. She pressed the corner. It gave way. Underneath, in a small hollow carved into the structure of the staircase, was a single envelope. Her name was written on the front. Not Detective Voss. Not Mara. Her full name. Her real name. The one she hadn't used in 15 years. Her hands were completely steady as she opened it. Inside the envelope was a photograph. A woman, mid-30s, standing outside a building in Geneva. The photo was dated 4 years ago. The woman was Mara, but she had never been to Geneva. She had never stood outside that building. She had never worn that coat. Except, she had. She remembered it now, like something surfacing from deep water. A conference. A case that had taken her abroad, unexpectedly. 3 days she had filed as routine travel. 3 days someone had photographed her without her knowledge. On the back of the photograph, in Daniel Ashworth's handwriting, they built your file before you knew you existed to them. You were always the endgame detective, not me. She drove to Captain Reeves' house at 4 a.m. He answered the door before she knocked, as if he had been waiting. Come in, he said quietly. She followed him to his kitchen. He poured 2 cups of coffee without asking. You know, she said. It wasn't a question. I've known for 2 years, he said. I've been building a case. Carefully. Too carefully, maybe. He sat down heavily. When Ashworth came to me 6 months ago, yes, he came to me first. I told him to plant the evidence, create the trail, use himself as bait. Mara stared at him. You sent him in there knowing he would die, she said. Reeves looked at his coffee. He volunteered. He knew the risk. In me, you were the exit. The one person on the outside they hadn't fully compromised. The one person who would follow the steps all the way to the bottom. Quinn, she said. The video. He was in Geneva with Ashworth. Reeves nodded slowly. Quinn has been working with me for 18 months. The video was staged. We needed something that would make you act alone, without backup, without checking in, without giving the network time to react. Mara set down her coffee cup, very carefully. 6 years with Quinn. 18 months of that, a performance. A careful, deliberate, perfectly executed deception. You used me, she said. We protected you, Reeves said. There's a difference. Is there? He met her eyes steadily. The USB drive. Did you look at all the files? She hadn't. She had stopped at the video. Look at the last folder, he said. The one marked with today's date. She opened the laptop at his kitchen table. The last folder contained 1 file. Assigned confession names, dates, operations, financial transfers, 47 signatures. Every member of the network, documented and verified over 18 months of undercover work. Quinn's work, Reeves' work, and woven through all of it, invisible until now, her own movements. Her own investigations. Every step she had taken over the past 11 days, used as the final thread that tied the entire case together. She had been the key that locked the door. or unlocked it. It's enough, Reeves said quietly, to bring all of them down. Every name on that list. Mara looked at the screen for a long time. Robert Vane, she said. Who is he really? Reeves almost smiled. Daniel Ashworth's older brother. She went back to the Harlow Hotel one last time. Dawn was breaking over the city, gray and slow and indifferent, the way it always was. She stood at the top of the basement stairs. Quinn was behind her. She had called him from Reeves' house. He had arrived in 12 minutes, which told her he had been close. Waiting. I'm sorry, he said. Don't be, she replied. You did what you had to do. Are we okay? She thought about it honestly. 6 years, 18 months of something she hadn't known about. The careful architecture of a deception built to protect her. Ask me again, in a year, she said. She started down the stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She stopped at the 8th step, looked down at the remaining 4. Then, she kept going. At the bottom of the 12 steps, she stood where Daniel Ashworth had died. Not where they had found him. Not at the chalk outline, at the foot of the stairs. Here, step 8, where he had actually fallen. She thought about a man who had walked into a hotel, knowing he might not walk out. Who had trusted a detective he had never met with the most dangerous thing he had ever found. Who had written her name, her real name, on an envelope hidden in a staircase, and waited. I found it, she said quietly. To no one. To him. She reached into her coat pocket and placed a single playing card on the ground. Not the 9 of spades. The ace. Then she turned, climbed the 12 steps for the last time, and walked out into the morning. Behind her, the basement door swung slowly shut. The case of Daniel Ashworth was closed, but somewhere in the city, 47 people were about to have a very bad day. The end. Thank you for listening to 12 Steps.